Kate, how you doing today? Welcome.
Thanks for having me. I'll appreciate it.
Of course, you and I met and talk CMO talk. What's the title of the place?
CMO
Coffee and Talk.
Coffee Talk.
Coffee Talk. Yeah, Friday mornings. I
Yes.
love it. Usually I can't. I usually catch it at the end because I have to go drop off my daughter at her school. But recently, I've been telling my wife, "Can you do it on Fridays?" Because she's a nurse. She has to go a little bit sooner to work. I'm like, "Can you do it?" Because I really like this coffee talks are getting more and more exciting, and
Yeah.
I want to attend it. And this morning one was amazing, and I highly recommend if you're in marketing leadership, you definitely have to join.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. It's amazing the degree to which I think I know we were talking about this a little bit before we started rolling, but um we're in a world where the pace of change is just so fast, and playbooks that we had even a year ago maybe aren't necessarily relevant today. And what I really love about the community is that people are willing to open up about their challenges, what they're trying, what they're learning. Like, it's really the idea of sort of like betterment of all of us as marketers, and betterment of an elevation of the marketing practice as a whole. And the only way we're going to do it is if we're going to share all of our notes on how we're using AI and how we're changing our attribution models. And it can be a hard time to make, but it is so worth it. And it's so worth it to be focused on it, to not be like, answering your emails stuff during it.
Yeah, I realized that today. I was pretty much focused on it today,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm going to continue doing that. It's a really good meetup, and I'm glad to have met you over there. So thank you for the opportunity. And you've been sharing a lot of stuff there and on LinkedIn as well. And kind of wanted to ask you if you don't mind introducing
Yeah.
yourself first, and
Yeah.
then we can go from there.
Cool. Yeah. Happy to. So my name's Kate Long. I currently run marketing at Crunchbase, which I think many people know as the database of different private market data and information. Um, I've only been at Crunchbase for a couple of months. I really joined to help try to usher in a new phase of growth for the company, where we're going to be moving away from only being a platform that people can access and largely growing via a PLG model, into really much more of a direct sales, outbound motion, selling our data, selling our APIs, specifically in the realm of predictions and insights. So using AI on the back end to predict possibilities of growth, exits, layoffs, et cetera. And I really came by this opportunity because I think that the bulk of my career I have spent trying to find companies at inflection points, and really to come in and be a catalyst for growth and change, and building and forming teams around whatever that new sort of phase of growth and change is. It's what I really love to do. So if you look at my resume, I started my career after business school. I started my career at Microsoft, which is like a giant company, and now I'm at Crunchbase, which is a small company. I've been at Expedia, I've been at PitchBook, I've been kind of all over the place, B2B, B2C, different industries. But the thread has always been like, where can I really be a catalyst for growth, and where can I really drive impact? So it keeps me on my toes, and it keeps me learning all the time. But then I never get bored.
Yeah, that's great. Not getting bored and not doing everything every day, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You had a really nice post on LinkedIn about human-centered leadership. I as a consultant, I've had jobs before where I was a director of search marketing, and now I'm running my own agency. It's more of like really a consulting agency
Yeah.
with some agency services. I continue to struggle with the concept of leadership. I or and I've seen a lot of good leaders
Mhm.
throughout my careers, and the ones that need room to improve. So, if you don't mind speaking a little bit more about, I believe the title you had was human centered leadership. Like, what
Yeah.
does that mean, and like
Yeah.
why is it a better approach to lead?
Yeah. Well, I think it's a better approach, but it's also my approach, which is why I think it's so great.
Yeah.
So, uh, This is one that's near and dear to my heart. If you remember, oh, maybe the old depends on how people's age who are watching the podcast out. If they're more of one my or perhaps your contemporary, that movie Office Space that came out in like
I do
19.
remember it, yeah. And I was a programmer at the time, so
Oh, it was perfect.
I could totally relate to it. Yeah,
It was perfect. I
yeah.
love it. Still one of my favorite movies of all time. And I remember when the consultants were in, and they were going to get rid of the guy who was the in between the like coders and the business or whatever, and he was like, "I'm a people person.
I
I'm
remember.
a people person." That's me.
Hmm.
So 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 also where this starts, for me, it's just very, very intrinsic. So I really truly believe that um, everyone comes to work every day to bring their best, do their best, leave it all on the table. And it's really your job as a leader to create an environment for them where they can leave it all on the table, right? Where they can do their best work. And a lot of this for me, I find it really helpful if I get to know someone from like a whole person standpoint. And the reason that is, I mean, obviously, as we all know, there's no lines between work and home anymore. I mean, you and I
Hmm.
were just talking. You all don't want to know what is to my left here in my room, in my office, in my house, right? Like there's no lines anymore, and so we as humans don't put these lines up either. And it's really the whole human that comes to work. And so as a result, I think it's so important to understand the whole human and the motivators of the whole human to help give them that environment in which they can really thrive and be successful. And so um, as long as folks are comfortable, I love sitting down and learning about each and every person that I'm working with, because I really believe that connecting with them is the way to get the best work out of them. And then if I lead in that way, if I'm setting that example, that authenticity, my teams will follow suit and do that with each other. And the way I really view talent is, I really want to make sure I'm putting together just this big, wonderful, multicolored jigsaw puzzle, right? And everybody looks a little different, but everybody kind of fits together. And I truly think the way that works is by not just me connecting with everyone, but me setting the example that everyone else can sort of figure out what their interlocks are.
Hmm.
Um, and I think when you have a base of human connection, um, not only do I find the work more fulfilling, but I think it also really makes it easier to have those hard conversations,
Hmm.
and give people hard feedback, or make hard trade-offs, because you're starting from a baseline of understanding, and you're already understanding sort of the bigger picture and the context with that person. So for me, it's just sort of been proven through and through. And I think particularly because I tend to jump into these organizations where change is afoot, where big things are happening. Like, you have to come in and set a steady ground for your team, because the other stuff around them might be, getting them worried and worked up, depending on sort of the state of the business. The thing I do have to be careful of, though, sort of the other side of the coin, is um, also making sure that I'm not too protective mother bear, right? Like
Hmm.
like that I'm really truly seeing people for their strengths and their weaknesses, and
Sure.
I'm balancing both of them appropriately.
Well, that was amazing. Sorry, but I have my allergies are.
Yeah, I noticed. You know what? I'm in Seattle, and everything's
Yeah,
blooming. And
yeah.
my like last night, my husband was like, "Oh my god, I can't. I just have to go in the shower and get all this off of me. Everything's itching." So
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you for that. I do have a question following up.
Mhm.
In marketing,
Yeah.
there's different discipline within marketing. There's this geeky marketers, the data scientists, and SEO, technical SEO experts, and so on and so forth. And then there's the creative ones,
Mhm.
who are like designers and and then content writers, and there are different personalities and different way you can measure someone's ability and performance. And you talked about baseline. Do you have a different baseline for every individual person, or do you
Mm.
have this really loose baseline? How does that work when evaluating your staff?
Gosh, that's a really, really good question. So, um, at the end of the day, we have a set of goals and or metrics, OKRs, right? I mean, you
Hmm.
name them for the business and for the team. And so everyone is expected to ladder into them in some way, and deliver against them. So I would say that the goals or the bar is not different based on function.
Hmm.
Though it is, of course, harder to track impact to the bottom line on something softer like writing. That's something, excuse me, traditionally harder, like something on the demand gen side. Um, the bar is where it is. The way I communicate and motivate is what might look different. Um, and in today's day and age, while it is really, really important to try to get everybody tied into as many metrics as possible, because that's just the way the business, it's the way we talk to the board and all the things. Uh, I think it's equally valuable not to lose, sort of in the same way that I like to be a human-centered leader. Like, I also am a human-centered, like, marketer. You
Yeah.
need to understand your customer and their pains and their sentiments and really be empathetic and walk in their shoes, and that's not a metric on there's no red, yellow, green on that, right?
Yeah.
So that's one where, I will tend to, um there'll be more nuance in sort of how I look at success and
Hmm.
more nuance in terms of how I communicate with the team what their value is, but the bar will still be high. It
Yeah.
just may not be that black and white, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
No, it makes a lot of sense. The reason I asked a question is about maybe 10 years ago, I used to work for this company, data company. I don't want to name them. I didn't last there long because of this. Every Monday morning, regardless of which department you were in, you had to have your SMART goals almost every Monday morning. I dreaded Monday morning.
Mm,
I didn't want to deal with that because a lot of what we did in marketing, SEO, I was their SEO and a search marketing expert. A lot of things we did, something that needed to be done. It was not measurable.
right.
You know, it it's just smart. What does smart stand for? Like actionable, measurable, something
Measurable,
like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Mhm.
But it just needed to be done, and just quantifying that every Monday, and then just back and forth was so. I get the purpose for it. You want to prioritize things that are more important, but I felt like that was first over management or micromanagement, and second that was just like one size fit all for everybody. Like
Yeah.
in my field, like you can't always be smart. I know, like we got to do certain things. You need to have a website, for example, very simple example, to
Mhm,
generate leads to the website.
mhm. And you have
So
to keep the website up.
you
Like,
have to keep the website up,
that's
exactly.
fair.
And that's not so much measurable,
Yeah.
and it was just very difficult, and I just couldn't work in that environment. And I think they lost a good talent. I'm being a little bit self-posting here, but I couldn't last there. After a couple of
Yeah.
months, I'm like, I can't deal with this. I left.
Yeah, see, that's really hard. I mean, one of the things I feel really strongly about, and I'm actually working on this at Crunchbase right now, like, marketing metrics are for the marketing team.
Sure.
Um, I care what's happening in SEO because I understand it and I know how to apply it to everything else we're doing. And the
Hmm.
folks within my team that are doing that work do that as well. Um, it shouldn't matter to my CEO. It shouldn't
Hmm.
matter to my executive team. What should matter is the bigger picture about what SEO plus all the other components of the marketing engine, right? Well, like, what all of those do for the business overall. So it's really my job, I feel, to sort of run interference there and
Hmm.
set the right metrics for the executive team and set them at the right cadence. So it's so funny that you brought this up because we're in the middle of rethinking right now. So just a little more context. I joined Crunchbase at the same time as a new head of sales. And so, like, together we're working on what is our new outbound motion in support of these new predictive products that we have available. And it was the case that there was a weekly reporting cadence on our self-serve business, the folks that come to Crunchbase, enter their information, maybe they start with a trial, move to the pro version, whatever. And there was a weekly reporting cadence on that because that's a very transactional model. We're now moving away from that because the head of sales and I said, like, this isn't the way that you look at the business when you're talking about landing bigger deals, longer sales cycles, right? Multiple touches. And so it's us working together now to say, actually, we're going to report on these things, but only once a month.
Yeah.
And we're going to report on these things together, sales and marketing, because it's hand in hand. The work we're doing goes hand in hand. So I don't know where that was, and I don't want to throw stones or anything like that, but
Mhm.
it's really like a leader should know where to calibrate in terms of what are the metrics that sort of keep the team aligned and going and feeling good, but then,
Yeah,
like, how do you separate that from the business component, right?
sure.
And what the other parts of the org see.
Yeah, good move there. Yeah, I just working for that data company. It felt like I was just back in office space. You mentioned it
Yeah,
earlier. I was
exactly.
just
You were in
doing
the
TPS
basement
reports.
with your
I was creating those TPS reports every Monday. It was like so
I do
boring.
have, by the way, I do have a red swing line stapler. This was, I will say, when I graduated from business school, oh my gosh, 20 years ago. That's how old I am. This was what my parents got me when I
Wow,
graduated
that's
business
amazing.
school.
Yeah, that was an amazing. I could relate to it. It seems like you like it too. So I literally in that company on my exit interview, they're like, "Why are you leaving?" I'm like, "I don't want to do TPS reports." Like I don't want to do that. And they did, and it's just like this is like I dread coming to work on Monday mornings.
No, that's awful.
I want quality to work.
Yeah,
I want to do this thing that's going to have a major impact, and it might just take 2 months for it to happen. Every week I have to give you something measurable, which will make me busy with little tasks
right.
just because you can quantify them. So
Yeah.
and that company isn't around anymore. I think they had to.
Mhm.
So that has
I was going to ask you, is that why you ended up going out and starting your own agency? Was it a
uh
direct response to that?
no, it contributed. I worked for that was I worked for another agency after that, as a director of search, and then after that I went a couple other places. I think my agency started because I was always freelancing on the side, and at some
Yeah,
point I got really busy with the freelance work, and then it just agency was born. And uh but all those experiences I think also contributed,
sure.
because I just I don't know where my next job was, it going to be like that or not.
Mhm.
The lack of stability in the corporate world also had a lot to do with it.
It's
Again,
so
especially
so
like like after COVID, and there's this tone in the I don't want to get political. There's this tone that's being said right now that, oh, we got to cut back, we got to get rid of people and stuff like that. And I'm like, you know what, if I'm gonna have to keep going through that, maybe the freelancing is kind of working out better. And
yeah.
then I the agency up to 2020 until like late COVID, 2020, late 2020, I was operating under Safari Consulting, Safari being my last name. And
Mhm.
then I think it was early 2021 where we rebranded, because now we had an agency wing. It wasn't just me.
Right.
We were actually doing some services, and I had to pull in my former colleagues, and that's where the agency was born.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think everything contributed, to that. I work for really good companies such as Experian. I miss that place.
Mhm.
We had, like, there was always food in the lunchroom, and we had
That
Nint-
sounds like a good meal.
yeah, we had Nintendo Wii, and we had, like, they would take us to Catalina Island every year, and we had like lots of perks,
Yeah.
good bosses. So just to be fair, there are companies that
Oh,
get
there
it as well, and
are.
and then there are companies like that data company that I mentioned, that it was just doing stuff that way. And I'm not here to judge if they were good leaders or not. It just didn't work for me.
Yeah, no, totally. And I mean, I think at the end of the day, right, like not to get too like deep about this whole thing,
Hmm.
but you know, all you lead, like what you're on this world for a finite period of time. And I really just truly believe that like all you can do is be the best human you can and be the best people around you that you possibly can. And I think it fully extends into the workforce. Like there are some days I barely see my kids, but like I'm on Zoom with people on my team for hours, you know?
Yeah,
Like truly, it is my job to uplift, to sort of guide and uplift everyone who works for me, so that everybody's happy and fulfilled. And like, gosh, at the end of the day, isn't that kind of like, yes, we need to make money. Like, yes, I want to drive results. I want all those things. Like my kids have to get to college somehow, right?
sure,
Like,
sure,
you know,
right,
I have to pay for I have to pay for their education and all the food
sure.
they eat somehow. But it's just at the end of the day, like I don't know. It's kind of simple. I just kind of want to have a nice, warm, fuzzy feeling about what I'm doing and the people I'm working with, and I want them to feel the same way. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah,
I agree with you, and I like to, at my agency at least, I want to lead by example. I'm
yeah.
probably putting the most amount of time compared to everybody else. I'm
Hmm.
working all the time, and I'm always open to pivoting. Like this morning, the call we had this morning kind of totally changed my day. I'm like, okay, I got to do this AI stuff a little bit differently. And
Yeah,
yeah, talk
yeah,
about AI. I want to jump to AI.
sure.
There is a good article on Crunchbase about historical data is history. Is all about predictive data,
Yeah,
and I found it to be fascinating. I didn't get to read all of it. It was because I just saw it right before the call. Do you
yeah.
mind talking about that a little bit and importance of it?
Yeah, totally. So though I joined Crunchbase a couple of months ago. This is work that really started a few years ago. So when I say we,
Hmm.
it's the royal we Crunchbase, but I had nothing to do with it until just a couple of
Yeah.
months
But
ago.
if you don't mind, I'm going to share that article in one of the
Oh
windows as
yeah,
well.
go
Yeah, this
ahead.
is it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Historical data is that future is predictive intelligence, which I started reading the first couple of paragraphs and then it made sense, but I didn't get a chance
It
to
does
finish
well, it
it.
does make sense, and I mean, if it's one of the things, and this happens to be our blog article when we launched our new predictions and insights tool, but you know, I'm seeing more and more in other places and spaces about historical this idea of historical data sort of being by the wayside, and
Hmm.
if you look at the stock price of Zoom Info has gone down, like a lot of these folks who've historically been like really strong in providing historical data have been really struggling. And I
Hmm.
think what happened, and certainly what the our CEO Jagger made a call a couple of years ago, that there was sort of this understanding that like, listen, AI is coming and it's coming hard, and particularly in the world of historical data, the minute AI gets its hands on your data, like you're dead.
Hmm.
The minute that all of the proprietary Crunchbase data gets ingested into these large language models, like
Yeah.
nobody has to pay for it anymore because
Hmm.
people can just keep pulling it up on ChatGPT or whatever, right?
Sure.
And so we knew it was only a matter of time that that this sort of the historical data market would sort of go by the wayside. And so we made a really big bet back a couple of years ago, and there was changes into the team and some unfortunately some rifts, because we really took a pause and said, what does this mean for us? Like, what does this mean for us as a historical data company? And how do we use AI and sort of ride this wave and use it to our advantage? And one of the things we did as we were sort of going through all those exercises, again, we being the royal we realized that like that one of the pieces of data that we have that nobody else has access to is actually 17 or so years worth of interactions on the Crunchbase platform itself.
Hmm.
That was unique and proprietary, and nobody could scrape that, right? So what are we gonna do with that? So we spent a couple of years building a bunch of different models that take the combination of all of the data we have, plus other signals like press releases, news, those kinds of things, right? And it brings those together with all of the touches on our platform to then provide a series of signals to customers about predictions in terms of what's going to happen next, or
Mhm.
insights in terms of the direction a company's going. So we can now predict things like layoffs, and if someone's going to IPO or be acquired, if someone's going to be raising another round, if someone
Wow.
is growing, with a really high degree of certainty and back testing. And if you think about what this what this unlocks then for our customer, like for a go to market motion. So
Hmm.
for someone like me, right, who runs marketing, if I know that a company's growing or is about to go for another round before anybody else does, I can start warming them up three,
Hmm.
6 months early before they're ready to buy.
Yeah.
And then when that budget hits, I'm going to be the first one that they're going to, that they're going to think of. And so um, as a result of this pivot, what we're now doing is selling the data. We're working to sell the data more directly because we really think the power now of these predictive insights, it's less about what you get on the screen. It's more about what you can embed in the different tools that you work with, be it Salesforce or be it, a tool like use it as an intent signal with like a Clay or a Sixth Sense or something like that. And so my goal now, which I'm super excited about, is to build the best go-to-market using Crunchbase's predictive data. Like
Wow.
that, like I need to use my own dog food. And
Hmm.
so what I'm going to be building over the next few months is really like a go-to-market motion that can be held up as a best-in-class motion using our data. And so it's an exciting time. I do think AI is a force multiplier. Like I don't think AI is going to, I do think everyone has to understand it and know how to use it. Otherwise they will at some point lose their jobs. But I really think it's a force multiplier. And I think being able to take all this historical Crunchbase data and give it to people and say, so actually what I can do is save you all this analysis and time and tell you these are the 10 targets you should be looking at for investment or whatever the case may be. Like all it does is help those people plus up their efforts and save more time for the strategic,
Sure.
right? The big swings and the big picture thinking. Um, so it's exciting. It's scary.
Yeah.
But it's really, really exciting. So I'm excited both about the way we've used AI to really farm up these predictions and these insights, and then also then the way I'm going to ingest it. And I'm planning on just basically showing the world. You know how we were talking before about like everything's changing so much, but we feel like we're a part of this really great community of marketers that are sharing, we're sharing all of our learnings, and we're really open about like what's working and what's not, and how is AI helping us and where are we falling down.
Yeah.
Um, like I want to show as I'm starting to use Crunchbase's predictive data in my go-to-market, I want to show where it's working. I want to show where it's falling, where it's falling down. Because I think we're just all better if we all sort of learn from each other in this crazy world of AI.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you 100%. I think if anything, AI, at least from a marketing perspective, is gonna make marketing great again. Because to tell you the truth, a lot of times our marketers we were spending a lot of times on these tactical stuff that
Yes.
wasn't really marketing.
Well, and trying to measure, like you said before, Al, like your like weekly impact of your SEO report, and like
Yeah.
that's just fluff. That's not
Yeah.
real like impact driving work.
Besides those TPS reports I told you
Yep.
earlier, the QBR reports is what
Oh,
used to drive me crazy, and a lot of that we have automated using
yeah.
AI, and not only automated, like analysis, like ChatGPT. Actually, we're using another data tool called Julius, adds the analysis in there, and then I just go in there and modify it, and just
Yeah.
read it and humanize it, modify it. Even our content creation efforts, our writer, we have an in-house writer and we have a vendor.
Mhm.
I think the amount of volume of work they're getting from us is the same. I think, but it has changed. Where before, okay, write everything from scratch, and now there's this rough draft that they really have to edit or rewrite. So, same thing with design. We create wireframes in. We don't do the design, but we create wireframes in this tool called Gamma. I think it's Gamma. It creates presentations and
Oh, okay.
it just and web pages.
Yeah.
So you can create wireframes really quickly in that
Yeah.
tool using
Yeah.
AI, and then pass it to designer, and designer uses whatever tool that she uses.
Yeah, and
So
that's all
AI
stuff
could
that
do like improve our efficiency,
exactly,
right? Yeah.
exactly, exactly, and then it gives you more time to, coming back to my sort of idea of the human jigsaw puzzle, like,
Hmm.
it gives you more time to focus on that connectiveness, and it's, like, in that connection where the really big good stuff happens,
Yes.
and so, that's what I'm so excited about with AI and with
Yeah, there'll definitely be some changes in jobs. I
sure.
think I remember doing .com. A lot of office people were laid off because
Yeah.
Microsoft Office replaced a lot of them, and
Yep. Yep.
email, right? So I think we're
Right.
gonna go through that again. But in one of your LinkedIn posts, you said something like, "Hey, don't take it personal. Just
No.
take some time, learn." Like, I think if you don't mind,
Yeah.
yeah, just talking about that for a minute or two.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think, one of the things, the benefit of being someone who remembers Office Space and the
Hmm.
.com bubble burst, Al, right? Is that like you've I don't know, you've been through the ringer enough,
Hmm.
that you start to recognize patterns and you start to sort of understand that things are cyclical and there are ups and there are downs. And the ups and downs, I think when I was younger, felt well, so much more like just so much more up and so much more
Yeah.
down. Right. And I really found, and I think a lot of this became really true while I was looking for work. So my company before Crunchbase had been owned by Prudential and we were shut down. Um, and so I spent some time sort of, regrouping as one does when one's company shuts down and then really sort of getting at it. But it was still, I mean, we shut down in July and I didn't have a job till March. So it was
Hmm.
it was a process. And uh, one of the biggest things I learned going through that was you can't take anything personal. This is absolutely a process whereby not only do they have expectations about they want, but you do too. And
Yeah.
you have value and you are a person who, deserves to find the right fit in the same way as they deserve to find the right person. And and I think that that pertains to so much in this world. Um, and I think as we think about things like learning new skills and figuring out how to use AI and, oh, are you failing? Are you falling on your face? Like it's the only way you push forward, right? It's the only way you push forward. And again, I think coming back to this idea that that we are all human just trying to do the best that we possibly can. Um, it's both, it's on both sides of the equation. So what I'm really excited about now with with my team and when it comes to AI is not just empowering them to use it and carving out time in their day and budget for it, but actually saying like, fall on your face and let me know.
Yeah.
Like, let me know when this doesn't work.
Hmm.
Let me know how you adjusted it. Share this with this other person when it works and share it with this person when it doesn't work. Like, because that's otherwise everybody's going to keep sort of doing the same things. And the great thing about AI is like, let's be honest, yes, I don't want to. I was going to say nobody knows what they're doing. There are some people who are really smart about it, but in general, those of us who are smart, but who have been smart in like
Yeah.
non-AI jobs for the course of our career, like none of us know what we're doing. We're
Mhm.
just trying to figure out as we go. So I think just like having freedom, just feeling like you have freedom, and knowing like your leadership is giving you that freedom in your space. Like I
Mhm.
want you to fall on your face and then pick yourself back up and tell us what happened. You know.
Yeah, that's really great. Yeah, I think being in an environment that allows that is very important, as opposed to
Yes.
an environment that is very tactical and doesn't have a lot of room for that
But
type
like you
of.
said, oh, sorry, I didn't
No,
mean to
no, no, no. I
say.
was done.
Like you said, this question of like people get worried if they spend their time doing that. It's sort of the conflation of outputs versus outcomes, and this feeling that you just need to be churning, and particularly with budgets being tight and right? Like boards to be accountable to, et cetera. Like I know individuals can feel really nervous about spending their time doing that stuff, and maybe they're going to fail and they're going to have nothing to show for it, or
Yeah.
feel like they have nothing to show for it, when in fact, failing and learning from it is showing plenty.
Yeah, I'm personally, we are embracing AI fully to the best we can, because we've just seen how much time it saves. Like I want to give an example. Google, we are like really good at search marketing, SEO,
Hmm.
paid search, and we used to, like when you run Google Ads campaigns, we used to spend a lot of time creating this Google Ads setup that was
Yeah.
basically either a single
Yeah.
keyword group or it was based on intent, and that was like a really manual process. Like there was no good tools out there, and now like using ChatGPT, that's just a matter of minutes that we can put all that exported in Excel, put it in Google, and very soon that's just, I'm sure there's a tool that automatically does it too, and that's going to pop out. Google might do it.
Yeah.
And another way that we're using AI in Google Ads is that we're monitoring and see, hey, which keyword is having a lot of search volume that's getting clicks, but it's not converting. Well, maybe and then we are evaluating if that keyword is really transactional, we should be running ads, or that's more of an SEO keyword that the SEO team should be optimizing for. So if you come out of the traditional way that you do things and kind of look outside the box, you end up
Yeah.
having a lot of work actually, but it's a different kind of work,
Yeah, no, it is
Yeah.
a different kind. And I think the way, what we saw in the CMO coffee talk this morning was the transformation of the team from like a traditional org structure, right? Where
Hmm.
it's like, here's the CEO and here's all the people down. And it was based on like workflow, right? So it was
Hmm.
based on like, here is the workflow for mm, monthly, like the finance team, like monthly workflow, but that might touch people from different parts of the organization. Or here is the workflow for getting an event up and running, and that's a different workflow. And so thinking about it more in terms of workflows and not static boxes,
Yeah.
um that for me is still like but you're right, the work is still there,
Yeah.
it's just in a different way.
Exactly. Wow, it's been 37 minutes. We could talk about this forever,
Yeah, I mean,
right?
that's the thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
you just keep talking in
No,
circles.
no, it's, honestly, I'm fascinated. We're going through another transition. I think throughout my career, I've seen like two of them. The first one was just the internet, when internet came and it just changed everything. And then an iPhone came and just changed the internet experience. And now AI is probably bigger than both of them combined. So it's exciting time, but you have to be prepared to change, to learn new things, and do things differently. That's what having ADHD. This is our time. This is like ADHD
Yay.
people. This finally, our time has come. We can do that, because this is what, I always find it to be very boring when I had to do one thing for 8 hours a day.
Oh, I feel the same
Yeah.
way. Maybe I have undiagnosed ADHD. I don't know. I feel the same way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's been awesome. So I do want to ask you a couple of personal questions. Not too personal, just very basic personal. Like, for example, what are you doing when you're not working?
Oh, when I'm not working, I am doing yoga.
Hmm.
I really love yoga, especially hot yoga, because again, as one gets old, it's easier to do it in the heat. I have three teenage boys, so they keep me pretty busy, and they all play baseball. So this time of
Nice.
year, especially if I'm not working, I'm somehow doing something related to baseball. And then I love travel. So with any chance I have to sort of go either see a new place or connect with old friends that live somewhere. Um,
That was gonna be my second question. What is
tell me.
some of your favorite travel spots?
Oh, I don't even know if I could start to. It's
Top
probably
five. Yeah, top three,
easier
top
for
five.
me to give a bucket list than it is
Yeah,
for me.
bucket list finds. Yeah.
Okay, I will. No, I will. A couple of my top travel spots. I studied abroad in Chile when I was in
Mhm.
college, and going down to southern Chile, to Punta Arenas, and doing Torres del Paine and seeing the penguins and all, that was just magical. That was just magical. And you're camping on glaciers. That was amazing. Um, Let's see. I really, really love the coast of Michigan. So I grew up in
Hmm.
Illinois,
Yeah,
and the Lake Michigan coast in Michigan is just, I think it rivals any ocean.
yeah.
Probably most people on the coast are not happy with me saying that.
No,
But
it's beautiful. I've been there in winter and summer. It's a
yeah,
lot more beautiful in summertime.
it is.
It's
Oh, well, yes,
frozen in
yes.
wintertime.
Cold in the winter. But like, there's no. My kids are like, there's no sharks.
There's
There's
no
no
sharks. Yeah,
currents. The
yeah.
sand dunes are so
Hmm.
fun, and it's just, oh, and you peach picking and blueberry picking. I just love it. So I'd say the coast of Michigan, um, and oh, I love Barcelona.
Barcelona.
Oh, I love Barcelona so much. I just remember like walking on the beach in the, I don't know, at midnight eating paella. I mean, just, just yeah, I'll say those three places. I'll stop there.
That's awesome. I've never been to Barcelona. It's
Oh,
definitely on my. I'm a Barcelona FC fan. I really
oh
want to
boy,
go. I
you
really want to go.
have to.
I have to go.
I'm not even for the soccer. I just love
Yeah,
the city.
yeah. I was telling my wife that maybe like it would be one of the summer vacations because she's a school nurse, so she's out for
Mm,
like 2 months. I'm like,
yeah,
and I can work from home,
yeah,
so maybe we can just go rent an Airbnb
you should.
and just be in Europe. So
I
that's
can't
a
wait till my boys are all in college and then I can do
then we
that.
can do all that. Yeah, for sure. So, and the third question, if you could be a superhero, which superhero would you be and why?
Okay. This is really, really hard.
Hmm.
Um, as you can see, I don't like giving one answer. So what I will say is, of all of the superhero powers, I wish I could fly because
Okay.
I have dreams about being a bird and it feels so cool and I really just want to fly. So I will leave it at that. I also had a dream when I was like 5 that I was Wonder Woman and part of the Justice League. So I guess I'd say
Yeah.
Wonder Woman, but she doesn't fly. So like, but
Maybe Supergirl. She
she
flies.
she flies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe, yeah, maybe Supergirl, maybe Captain Marvel.
Captain
She's
Marvel. Yeah.
she's pretty badass. So maybe Captain Marvel is what I would be. But like, I need to fly. That's like priority number one.
Very cool. Yeah, mine is the struggle between being a Jedi and a Sith. Just
Oh,
the dark and the light side.
there's
So
something deeper that we
there's something
need
deeper
to
with
go
mine.
in
It's
here
very for like
now.
there are times where I just want to go all Sith, and there are times where I'm all on the light side. So,
I appreciate that you're honest with yourself and others about that.
Kate, it's Friday afternoon. It's been a pleasure. I really appreciate your time. And good luck at Crunchbase. I'm excited about your new products, and
Thank you.
obviously they have themselves a super CMO or VP of marketing. Is that your title?
Yeah, VP of marketing.
VP of
Yeah,
marketing. And we're here to help in any way we can.
thank you.
And we should hopefully we can have you on again in future.
I would love to. I'll come and give everybody an update. And hey, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, guys.
Oh yeah, where can people find you? Yeah, yeah,
On
sure.
LinkedIn,
On
Kate
LinkedIn.
Long.
Yeah.
I think it's like whack Kate the Marketer. So if you're looking for, if there's multiple, since it's not a very unique name, just look for Kate the Marketer. You'll find me.
And we're gonna record. I'm gonna edit this a little bit, put it on our
Great.
website, and I will link to you. So
Thanks.
awesome. Thank